Hello guys, my name is Michael and today we are going to talk about a new widget which is called GTKAspectFrame. Let's see what's the story with this one. The GTKAspectFrame, as you can see, it derives from GTKFrame, which we already talked about it, and says the GTKAspectFrame is useful when you want to pack a widget so that it can resize but always retain the same aspect ratio. This is very important, you will see in a moment. For instance, one might be drawing a small preview of a large image and so on, or GTKAspectFrame there is from GTKFrame, so it can draw a label and a frame around the child. The frame will be shrink wrapped to the size of the child. CSS node, GTKAspect use CSS node with the name frame. So basically these things which you need to set them to frame. You will see that because belongs to frame, you can set also not just frame but also its subnodes which belongs to GTKFrame, like border and label and so on. Okay, so let me go back. This is the GTKAspectFrame. Before we start with this frame, with this aspect frame, let me show you something. Let us see our preview program. So we have a window, we have a frame, we create this frame with text my label, and then we add it to our window. Nothing special. So it looks like this. It's just a frame. You see it's right here, and then of course this frame once that it is here, if you watch, if I maximize the window, it is maximizing and goes also the way down. Now let me show you something. Before we move, let us set some properties. Let us go to GTK widget property, and we are going to set all possible properties, and you will see that nothing is working. So this means this is our window, G object set, okay, window, and the first one, it is expand. I'm going to set to false. The next one it is let us take all possible expand. This one is the next one. Okay, we are going to set it also to false, and of course the next one, it is the vertical expand. We are also set it to false, and of course there is also horizontal expand set, which we are going to set it to false, and of course there is vertical. All these properties which I just set them now here. Watch what happens. I'm compile it and run it. So basically I said nothing should expand, nothing. Well, it doesn't work. We are going to see later in other videos what's the story with this and which is the best way to choose what exactly should be expanded and so on. Okay, but you saw it's not working. Okay, before we move to the frame, let us set this object also to the frame. So I'm going past the frame this time here. I'm going to compile it and run it. Also, all of them are set to false. I'm going to maximize. You see it is expanding and so on. So basically doesn't react at all. Now let us create a button. I should let it there, but now I realize that I need it. But anyway, it's not a problem. So button. Okay, now that we have the button, we can create it just after we create our window right here. create a button. Okay, and now we are saying button GTK button new with label, and I say click me. Okay, now we are going to edit, so I'm going to use also this one right here, and I'm going to copy this part here because I want to put it as a child to the frame. So this means the frame, it is the parent, and the button, it is the child. Let me compile it and run it. And as you can see, here's the button. So the button expands all the way to this frame. If I maximize, the button also extends. So basically those things doesn't help. Now let me copy this part here. Let me set the object of the button to the same thing, so everything should be false. So no expand horizontal, no vertical expand, no expand, no nothing, no set expand, everything to false. Let me, as you can see, it is expand. As you can see, it is expand. So basically it doesn't affect these things. It doesn't, of course it does not, because it's the wrong container. We are going to talk later about it. Let me set also GTK widget set size request of the button. Okay, let me set it to 100 and 100. Okay, we make it small. What do you think happens now? If I set this button to 100, does this everything we have here have some effect? Because we just said it, give it a value. Let's see. No and no. It doesn't work. Why it's not working? Like I said, we are going to talk about this story in another tutorial, and you will see where we are going to pack our widgets in a grid. We are going to see what's the story with this, but not now, not today. This is not the object of our video. So that being said, you saw it's not working, so I'm going to remove this thing here. I'm going to, okay, this size I'm going to let it. I'm going to remove this part also here, and I'm going to remove this part also here. So now basically we have a window, we have a frame, and we have a button. Nothing special. Okay, so we came back to our frame. This is our frame, and this is our text with our button inside and so on. So nothing special. Now we can go back to our GtkAspectFrame. Let's see. It says again, the GtkAspectFrame is useful for anyone to pack a widget so that it can resize but always retain the same aspect ratio. What means this? Let us see. So basically what I'm going to do now, I'm going to call this function. Okay, instead of the frame itself, I'm going to comment it out. I'm going to call this function, and this function has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 childs. Let's say, says the first one is the label text. Okay, so we have it, my frame. The second one is the x and y allig. So this is the alignment. Which kind of alignment? We'll see in a moment. Horizontal alignment of the child within the allocation of the GtkAspectFrame. This ranges from 0, 0 to 1, 0, and the vertical the same 0, 0 to 1, 0. Okay, so that being said, we are not going to use something special. We are going to use 0, 0 and 0, 0. Now the next one, it is the ratio. The ratio is the desired aspect ratio. I don't want to tell you that I don't want to ask what the aspect, because you know there's those 69 or 4:3 and so on. Okay, something like that. We're going to talk about that. So basically I'm going to set it now for a second also to 0, And then the last one says obey child. If true, ratio is ignored and the speculator is taken from the requisition of the child. Okay, so we are going to set it to true. Now I'm going to compile it and run it. Of course there is a problem here, you will see in a moment. You don't get it now, because I think you don't get it because you set this to false, to true. So now I'm going to let it to true, and that we are going to discover it together. Now let's compile this program and see what happens. We set 0 0. Now watch our button, it is now here, you see, and you see this place right here. Well, why is this happen? Well, it is happens because we said the X argument 0 0, which is left. So this means if I pass now here 5, it should be in the middle. Yep, it is in the middle. Let me, whoa, you saw that? Let me go back. Let me close it. Let me put it back to 0. Let me compile and run the program. You see, the button is here, the whole frame it is here, and now when I'm going to maximize it, you see it fits in the same manner to the whole window as it was almost here. Correct? So this is, you see, it's not expanding until here. Okay, this is very important, very interesting. This means, like I said, if I put now 5, it will be in the middle, left and right will be the same space used. If I now maximize it, it should be the same. Yes, you see, left and right we have this kind of space. One thing is interesting. Okay, but what's the story then with the other one? Let's say with the other argument, this one right here, as you can see, it says it is the vertical argument. This one was the horizontal. So this means 0 is the top argument and 1 is the bottom argument. Okay, so basically if this is the 0 is the top, then 0.5 should be in the middle. Let's see if it works. And nope, we don't see too much here. It is obvious it's not working something here. Let's put it now to 1. Maybe we will see some difference. Let me see. Let me make it bigger. You also don't notice, you do not notice this difference here, where the difference should be. That being said, let us now choose this time false to the aspect ratio. Let's see what happens now. Let us now put this one to 0 and also this one to 0. So all of them are now 0. Okay? Okay, we get a crazy warning, which, by the way, the documentation doesn't say something about it, or we will see in a moment if maybe I missed something. As you can say, negative content width of -2 or -25, la 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 la. Okay, so basically watch where our frame is. It is quite crazy, isn't it? Yes, of course. Now let's go back a little bit to its documentation, and says ratio is the aspect ratio. So basically we have now information. Okay, there is another function here. We are going to talk about that in a moment. And the same thing here, says ratio to this aspect, said nothing. Okay, we have also properties, which means it's the properties, and now the properties are, and here is this, allowed values are between 0 0 0 0 1 and 1 0. So basically it doesn't accept 0. At least this is what I understand. So let's see if I'm right. Let's put 0 0 0 1 so on. Let's see what happens. conversion from double to G float, change the value. You see, this is a okay, I don't want to say that word. Anyway, I'm going to put an F here so that I can compile it and still get the same problem. So if you find this thing better than me, if you know exactly where what's happening, guys, please let me know so that I can understand this aspect ratio. I mean, what they are trying to explain here in this story. I know I'm going to make a thread on the website about this story, and maybe they can help me with this thing, because I'm done with this. It's not working, okay? But to make it work, I'm going to pass this time 1.0 here, and it is working. At least we see that it's working because we have no error. Let's see that it works fine. So this means this is the aspect ratio. Now let us put it in the middle, both with the same aspect ratio. It works fine, okay, nothing special. And now let's just change it to something more. Let's put 5 now. I mean, it's another value. It's not a value which we should put it here, but it's a value which works. Bam! You see, it works fine. So basically, I said now 5, and it changed it to this aspect ratio. Of course, if you say 15, you get something very crazy, just almost like a line. It will be a small and wide. Yes, of course, but it works. So basically, this is what this thing does. Now let me go back to, let me put 2 now. No, let me put 1. So basically, I'm going to back to 1, like you see here, and we have this nice frame created here. Okay, and now let me put let me move this part here after we create a button. Okay, so it's fine, everything is at its place. And now what let me see, we set to false, we set to 1, and now let's go back to our CSS. As you can see, here are all those CSS which we are applying to our GTK frame. So the documentation of the aspect frame says use this node, which is called frame. Well, you will see that frame we are using here, and we are using also the border and the label. Even if the documentation doesn't say about this, it should not say about it, because you already know it is there is from frame. So I'm going to remove now the comment so that we can load our CSS function. And now I'm compiling and run it. As you can see, it is changed. You see, it is changed. It is the way how we want to have it. It is the way how we want to look like. Let me go a little bit back. Did you notice something here? I'm curious. Did you notice something here? This is another thing. Well, some of you maybe you noticed, some of you didn't. You see how big the button is? You see how big the button is now? Now watch. Let me use the CSS styling now. Do you see how small the button is now? Let me make it bigger. Do you see how small the button is now? So basically, what kind of strange things are happening here? Let's see 20 and then 20. Okay, let's compile it and run it. You see, it's much. I think I'm not sure, but anyway, you see. Now I would like to know, because I don't know why, if I'm not using CSS at all, we get no size. You see how big it is? It's getting bigger the way it takes the place what or the room what the frame take it. You see, it takes all this room here, and of course our button, it is also so big. So this is a very important thing. Me, I'm not using GtkAspectFrame at all. I don't think I will use it. I don't know if there is some place where I'm going to need it, but I wanted to show you that it is a different place for this thing when you create it with a widget with CSS, and when you are styling it change in a very big different way from the way you create it. And at least you see we have this small button here, which we don't have it if we create it without CSS. So this is very important for you, that you remember this thing when you work with this widget. You see, now it's bigger. So basically this means it works. You see how big it is now. You see how small it is now. You see, it works. But you cannot say the same story if you don't apply CSS. Watch its size. You can measure it if you want it. You see its size, and watch if you put now 200 200. You see, we have the same story. Nothing happens, nothing's changed. So there are crazy things which I am also not so good to understand them. Like I already told you in some videos, I'm not an expert of this library. I'm just a guy which I like GTK a lot, because helps you to create a lot of crazy apps, nice apps. There are things, I mean, you are not let's say you are not going to stick only in one let's say kind of styling. You can do it yourself. For example, if I'm drop now, let me comment a little bit the container parts, these ones to here, and then of course I'm going to remove all these things here, so that we have only the window itself for a moment. Okay, the frame set but not used. Okay, the frame, let me comment this part here, and you know what, I'm going to remove everything, because what I want to show you doesn't involve that we need something. So basically we have a window with CSS, which I didn't use it, so let me go back. So we have a window where you can set its background, and as you can see, you cannot set this part here. This is a this is a way how your window was decorated. So that being said, this belongs to window manager, but it doesn't mean that you cannot create something for yourself. For example, GObject set and window, after that decorated, I think it's called it, and say false, and then null, decorated. If not, I'm going to check it in a moment. Yes, you see, who stop you from creating your application where you create everything from scratch? This means now here you can create a nice navigation menu, or a head for your, if I can call it this, for your application. You can create also a footer for application and so on. Those things we are going to talk later, so that you can basically create an application which it doesn't depends from your decorated system themes which you have. Like me, for example, every possible application which I run it has, all of them has this kind of decoration and this kind of colors which are defaults to the default theme which I'm using. So we are going to learn later how we can create our application, how we can control our application, and so on, and make them unique, to not belong to the Windows Manager. But of course, don't try to make too many tricky things, because the window manager, it will catch you all the time, and it will change things in a manner which, if you don't understand, then you will get yourself in a problem. But this is another story. Of course, now because we have no decoration, I cannot do nothing with this window, because this means a blank window for me. This one, where decorated is set to none, to false. This is a blank window. This thing here, like let me set it back to true. This thing here, for me and for you later, it doesn't, you will see, it doesn't mean this is a black window, blank windows, or empty window. This is not a black window, because this window has two stories, has two different sizes. It is the size of the window which you can work with, and of course it is also this part here, which is the title, which belongs to your window manager. Here's the boss there. But we are going to talk about these things in a different manner, and of course you will need to take care about all these things which are done here. Those three buttons, you will need to create it for yourself. You will see how, and later, and then you will see that you can create a nice application where the colors are only those which you choose them, and not let the Windows Manager or the theme of your system to set it for you. Okay, so that being said, thank you guys for watching. If you like it, please subscribe, share with your friends and neighbors, and until next time, see you guys.